I'm Conrad Decker. I'm the owner of Decker's Nursery and Florist. We are quickly getting ready for the holiday season. One of the really popular things that we do at Decker's Nursery this time of year, and it's one of the things I look forward to because I get some time to actually be a little creative and get my hands dirty. And so today I'm going to show you how we make drop-in pots or holiday decor pots. We have a lot of these available at the store, but one of the things that we tried to be supportive on is giving you supplies and showing you how to make these container gardens on your own. So as you know, we do a lot with container gardening here at Decker's. So in the spring, you're doing your pansies. The summer is when everybody's actively planting the summer flowers that bloom right up into September. Fall, we use cabbages, kales. We go back to pansies because they like the cool weather. But what most people forget is that you can decorate your containers in the winter. And we do this for a lot of our customers. We can custom make them for you, but I want to encourage you today to take some time. All of the products or all of the materials I'm using are probably available in your yard, and you can forage them or harvest them from your yard. Just to get started, I wanted to show you some of the things I'll be using today. Is we bring balsam fir, so we get branches of balsam fir. You could use spruce trees at your home. You can take branches off of your Christmas tree and use them in your containers. White pine is very readily available. I like using the long stems. This is what we have available for you if you need to get some white pine. There's the berried juniper. So this is kind of hard to find locally, but we do have red cedars down by the waterfront. Very often they'll grow there, but it gives you a nice contrast with the blue foliage, and the berries are actually quite attractive. Some of the other evergreen or the boughs that I will use are noble fir. This may be something, this isn't a tree that grows naturally on Long Island, but we have these available at the store for you if you wanted to use them. Again, it has a different texture and some blue color. So you're starting to see a theme where contrasting colors is very important. This is Conkler Fur. This is one of my favorite evergreens. We plant a lot of these for our customers, but this is very different appearance. Just before starting to film this, I went out and harvested some variegated euonymus. So this is a very common plant in most landscapes. So the yellow gives you some nice different hues to work with. The gold mop cypress always need to be pruned, so instead of throwing them into the dumpster, maybe save a few for your holiday decor pots, okay? So these are some of the things I'm going to use today. I want to make this very simple. It's supposed to be fun. You can play with it several different ways. You can take it apart if you don't like it. So before you get started, what you want to think about is, what size container are you using? So you can actually do this arrangement right into the planter. So they still have soil in them, hopefully. And what I'm going to show you here is on a separate pot. And people buy these from us and they set it down inside of their container. But you can actually do this arrangement in the containers themselves. So for simplicity, I'm going to do a one-sided. So it would be visible from one side as you're looking at it. I brought another sample over that I did earlier. And this is four-sided. So if this was for a container that's going to be seen from all directions, It's a little bit harder to put together. It takes a little more time, a little more material, but it's very natural in its appearance, and that's what you want to try to accomplish, just something that nature would create. And so this gives you all four sides. It would look just as attractive no matter how you're approaching it. But again, for today and for simplicity, we're going to do more of a one-sided arrangement. So the first thing I do is I get started with my, I like to use the balsam fir. It's less expensive. One of the things I'll start you off with is don't waste anything. Almost everything that we're using today is going to be used. So I start to set the backdrop of the arrangement. Let me do a few more and then I'll turn that around. But even these little clips that are coming off, or all these little pieces that I'm snipping off, you know, they can be used along the sides just to fill in more. So what you're going to find is almost everything that you prepare to use will find its place into the arrangement. So right now I'm trying to get some height and some width. This is actually an 8-inch pot. Usually we'll do something larger, but I'm going to make it look like it's a 12 to 14-inch pot just by spreading the greens out more. And I want to really fill that in nice and thick. So here's a nice piece, this nice full piece for the center. So it's a little bit like floral arrangement, you know, when you're trying to make the flowers work together. One more and then I'll turn that around for you. And you can see how that starts to come together a little bit, right? It's okay to pull them out and reset them if you don't like the way it appears. But I'm creating a fan, so I was able to put quite a bit of height into that really easily just by using larger pieces. Now, there are some gaps in here, so what I'm going to do is work with the white pine. White pine gives you a very different texture. It's much softer, wispy. That piece is a little too long. I cut it down. And well, by the way, I didn't mention this. We just use potting soil in the planter. It works well. It dries out quickly. That's going to be a little too big. So again, I try to, the white pine really gives you the height, right? Or that's how I do it. You may decide to do it in a different way. But I always like to get a lot of white pine spread throughout the entire arrangement. Now, if this were going to be a four-sided arrangement, I would start using some more pieces along the back. But we're going to try to stay a little consistent for now and keep this one-sided. This is coming together very quickly. And you shouldn't feel like you have to do it fast, right? It's supposed to be fun. I'm finding some open areas in the front that I want to fill in a little bit and try to blend it together. So you can see how the pine is starting to spread out. You may want to come over a little bit further in this direction. So I'll use another piece there. It's hard for me to do it backwards, but that helps you or gives you an idea on how that comes together. I'm going to reset that. Okay, now I want to start getting some contrast into my arrangement, some different colors. So I really like the noble fir. I use it very consistently or very often, but this may be a nice time to use some of the Conkler Fur. I didn't even realize we had it. So by getting the blue in front, that really offsets the green backdrop. A little bit more. All right, so I'm starting to get some blue coming across the front. A little bit more. I think I'll use some noble just the same. Maybe a little bit smaller piece. This piece is a little large in diameter, so I just take my hand shears. And by the way, you want to have a good pair of hand pruners when you're doing this. It makes it a lot easier. So you'll see how this actually kind of, it's in between the balsam fir and the Conkler fir. So, and it just accents the blue a little bit more. So, okay, as you can see, it's starting to fill up pretty quickly. So I like to use the front of the pot and try to use some softer pieces that may flow over. I had shown you the Deodora cedar before. Yep, here it is. Or the incense cedar, I'm sorry, not the Deodora. This is incense cedar. Okay, more of a fan-like. This looks a lot like an arborvitae. Some people use arborvitae instead of this. Take off the lower pieces so that I have a stem to stick into the soil. Okay, so you see how that kind of works down in front. This has very attractive cones on it, so I want to make sure that they're being seen. And whenever I'm cutting, I try to cut back to a lateral branch. That way you don't have a lot of stubs in the branches. Okay. So, and I just keep filling that in. Going to do a few more of those because I want it to be balanced. But listen, there is no right or wrong on this. This is just personal preference. You don't have to make these symmetrical. In fact, I think they're more interesting if they're not symmetrical. Okay, one or two. There we go. So it gives you a little bit of a trailing effect up in front. If this were a summer arrangement, you would be using your wave petunias to trail over the front. Okay. Now we have some other fun pieces that we could use in here. I think there's some boxwood or the buried juniper. This will work really well in there. And if you see what I'm doing, it's just a lot of different colors and textures. Okay, so no one of these pieces is really standing out. It's the combination of all the different components that really make it attractive. So now usually I'll do a little bit more here. I want to hide this scar actually. So I'm going to use another small piece of noble fir. Okay, the scar is gone, right? And we have a nice balanced fan. Okay, now I'm going to show you how we finish this off. And this is where you really want to get a little creative. So I just pulled out a few of the picks or sprays that we have available here. So this is like a fern as it gets ready for winter. It shows that really soft texture. This one's a little bit long. So I might use, I wouldn't do a lot of these personally, but you can. The berry picks are very popular. Almost, 50-60% of our arrangements have the berry picks in them. And you can use your pruners just to kind of make that. Right, so now we're really starting to get some pop into this, some real contrast. Little red foliage pieces down in front. Again, most people, so you always want to ask yourself if you're a symmetrical person or if you don't mind asymmetry. So some people have to have symmetry. The poinsettia is another nice pick. I think that would be a little bit of overkill at this point, so I'm not going to use it. But just to give you an idea of some other alternatives, I think what I am going to do is use another berry pick, though. And I'm going to make it a different height. Try to get a little more balance over on this side. that stand out enough. There we go. Okay. Now, most of you are familiar with the birch branches, so we bring these in white and red. Okay. So a little more white in here will be very effective, making the green show off more. And again, you don't waste any of this. If you get some little pieces that come off like this, use them. Just stick them up in front, the small pieces. Okay, diversity and contrast. That's what you're looking for, or that's what you want to try to achieve. So you can get, some people use the branches to get more height. I like to use them as more of an accent piece and not so prominent. I like them to kind of blend in. And you'll find that you have to, as the pot fills up, you have to work the branches in a little bit more because you start running out of space. So one more of these so that it can be seen from the back. Okay. Again, if you were trying to do all four sides, you would start working in the back to create more interest on this side. So it takes a little bit longer, a couple trial and errors, and you'll be able to do that as well. And then just some red branches as well. And I'm just cutting down into the laterals. So I have some nice red with the berries. So I don't need a lot of this. But it does fit in there pretty nicely with the berries. And then like I showed you before, with some little red pieces up in front, or any size really can work. And the only thing I don't like here is I got this one large piece out in front. I'm going to take a little height off of that. So again, let me remind you, there is no right or wrong. It's just a matter of having some fun, working with the things that nature gives us. It's very rewarding if you can gather these cuttings from your own property. It's kind of fun to do. And just take your time doing the arrangement. Figure out what you want to use as accent pieces. Pine cones work really well. I've done these with bows up in the front. Kind of gives it a more festive appearance, or if you want to give it as a gift. And hopefully this will give you some incentive to get outside on Thanksgiving. Start foraging for the materials. If you need some additional pieces to bring it together, or if you want some further guidance, I would say come on in. We're going to be open the day after Thanksgiving and open for the rest of the holiday season. So, all right, I hope this is fun for you, and I appreciate you watching. Thank you.